to the VIP.
Yeah, the IP, VIP.
Don't wait, cause tonight's on me.
It's on me, baby, all on me, yeah.
Sexy models, champagne bottles.
Yeah, the IP, VIP.
Got 2 models, 3 more bottles.
Model when I'm model, got a bottle, there's only one side.
Be Taylor.
Yeah, the IP, VIP. It's on me, baby, all on me, yeah.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames. Got a lot of really cool stuff to talk about today, including in entertainment news. Batwoman star Ruby Rose. Obviously, we all know that she left the CW series Batwoman. We'll talk a little bit about what may have transpired there and why her departure came at such a very interesting time. In sports, Jon Jones signals giving up on Francis Ngannou showdown after UFC rejects his pay increase. We'll talk a little bit about that. In video game news, looks like more surprises from the new Call of Duty. Well, actually, from Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It seems that Season 4 might have Captain Price included in it, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, I have special guest Psychic Medium Anthony DiJoseph on the show today, and trust me when I say that is a really interesting interview. Really enjoyed doing that one. Plus, I have an awesome announcement to make as far as a new podcast is concerned. The Xander Effect has teamed up with NBC's World of Dance, and me, yours truly, Xander Dames, will be hosting World of Dance Wednesdays podcast for the show after it airs next Tuesday on NBC. You can catch the podcast the following day, next Wednesday, when I will be interviewing the contestants of the show, talk a little bit about what they're going through, the things that the obstacles that they have to face, and so much more. So make sure you catch World of Dance podcast Wednesday starting next week. I will be making an announcement as to when and where you could catch that. But first, before all that, obviously dance isn't enough without music. So here is Allie's Because of You right here on the Xander Effect.
Hey, yo, this is Nightmare from Dirty Machine, and you're listening to the Xander Effect. Let's get it.
Do it for Miley.
I hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream in my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Am I gonna fit in? What? Jumped in the cab, here I am for the first time. Look to my right and I see the Hollywood sign. This is all so crazy. Everybody seems so famous. My tummy's turning and I'm feeling kinda homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous. That's when the taxi man turned on the radio and the Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. So I put my hands up, they're playing my song, and the butterflies fly away. Not in my head like yeah, over in my hips like yeah. Got my hands up, they're playing my song. You know I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, yeah. It's a party in the USA. Yeah, yeah. It's a party in the USA. Get to the club in a taxi cab, everybody looking at me now. Like who's that chick that's rocking kicks? She's gotta be from out of town. It's so hot when my girl's not around me. Sure ain't no Nashville party, cause all I see is stilettos. I guess I never got the memo. My tummy's turning and I'm feeling kinda homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous. That's when the DJ dropped my favorite tune, and a Britney song was on. And a Britney song was on. And a Britney song was on. So I put my hands up, they're playing my song. The butterflies fly away. Not in my head like yeah, over in my hips like yeah. Got my hands up, they're playing my song. You know I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, yeah. It's a party in the USA. Yeah, yeah. It's a party in the USA. I feel like hopping on a flight back to my hometown tonight. But something stops me every time. The DJ plays my song and I feel alright.
That was Dirty Machine's Party in the USA right here on the Xander Effect. In entertainment news, this week, Ruby Rose left Batwoman, and it kind of sent a few shockwaves because the television series on the CW was actually doing very well. It was getting a lot of good reviews, as of late, and suddenly she just decided to just leave. And this is a very strange thing, especially right now with what's going on with the pandemic and everything. It basically raised a lot of eyebrows to a lot of people wondering why did she leave. And there was a lot of speculation having to do with pain associated with an emergency surgery that she underwent, because of 2 herniated discs that she had. So there was a lot of speculation having to do with that. There was a lot of speculation having to do with mental illness. There was a lot of speculation, but at the end of it all, it just boiled down to basically a lot of multiple sources have said that the reason why she left was that she was unhappy with the long hours required of her being the series lead, and that caused friction on set. So right now it seems that the CW and Warner Brothers are scrambling to recast the lead role of Batwoman, which is Kate Kane, the cousin of Bruce Wayne, and they're looking for another female role that's a member of the LGBTQ community to fill in that spot. So it's going to be a very interesting new season of Batwoman, and you know, in my experience in watching television and watching these shows that get recast with a new lead, it never really ends well. Sometimes what ends up happening is that when the lead leaves and you suddenly get a brand new lead, a new face to take over that part, it never really goes too far. I mean, you know, fans tend to stop watching the show. They tend to the ratings start going down. I mean, look what happened to Lethal Weapon. They basically replaced Martin Riggs with another actor, with another lead, because of friction that happened there, and that show didn't last too long after that. It happens a lot, so we'll see what happens in the new season of Batwoman, and we'll see if the audience will get acclimated or used to the brand new star that's going to be taking Ruby Rose's place. In other entertainment news, looks like Keith Urban hit the nail right on the head when he started streaming a concert at a drive-in. Basically, Keith Urban did kind of a private performance for medical personnel at a drive-in movie theater, and it created a great clout for concerts. It created a new avenue for concerts, actually, to the point that Live Nation is looking to take that concept nationwide this summer. Apparently, we all know that currently, because of the current COVID-19 crisis, concerts have been canceled all over the U.S., all over the nation, because of social distancing and, you know, the risk of there being a lot of people getting infected by this virus. So they had to cancel concerts, sporting events, the works. They had to cancel a whole bunch of things. So what Keith Urban did was that, you know what, well, since I can't have a concert with people out there, I can go ahead and do a concert at a drive-in movie theater. And he did. Basically, he went ahead and he said, quote, "I'm grateful that we have the technology to do at-home concerts. But come on, without the audience, it's just one long sound check." So because of that, you know, he went ahead and continued to say, "The only real challenge for me was the absence of the energy from a mosh pit. But the car horns, the flashing headlights, that was crazy cool." So because of that, you know, like I said, Live Nation's looking to adopt that concept, and who knows, maybe this summer a lot of these concerts will be held, but you'll be able to watch them through the comfort of your very own vehicle. So we'll see what happens in the coming months. In other entertainment news, Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande unleash a diva monsoon with Rain on Me. Brand new music video by the collab has sent waves across social media, with a lot of people enjoying and loving the collaboration between the two, including Ariana Grande, who actually enjoyed the experience herself. She said, quote, "The video is so Gaga and so fun. I was like, I've never dressed like this in my life. I'm just having the best time." She also mentioned her newfound friendship with Lady Gaga by saying, quote, "Well, I find that that's what I discovered with every single woman that I've met who has had the BDE, the big diva energy thing, thrown around, and the horrible rumors started about them, and the narrative has been so weirdly skewed and whatever. I found that everyone that I've met has this beautiful human bleeding heart. It's just so refreshing. I feel like it's just such a weird position to be in, because you're an artist and you want people to hear you everywhere, and you want people to blast your music, and you want to see yourself and hear your music everywhere, and then it goes left, and then people don't understand you, and then you feel completely overtaken by the world, and then you take it back at some point. And I feel like she has done such an incredible job of doing that and healing herself, and she's just a beautiful person, albeit a beautiful person who is, quote, also like, I'm going to give you an effing show, and I'm going to pick every color that's on the screen, every lighting, every shot, every wig that every dancer is wearing, every everything I'm going to pick. I'm going to help Ari with picking her makeup and her hair. But now she's so comfortable. It's awesome. I really love seeing her have the point of view and such gentleness at the same time, and respect for another artist at the same time. So it looks like Ariana Grande had a lot to say, and it was all positive towards not only the song, not only the music video, but towards her newfound friend, Lady Gaga. So kudos on their brand new music video, which is out right now on YouTube and other social media platforms. So make sure you look for it out right now. In other entertainment news, I had the opportunity to speak with Psychic Medium Anthony DiJoseph, and man, let me tell you, the things that he's seen, the experiences that he has had, only he can describe them the best way he could, and he did. But first, here is Safura, High on Your Love, right here on the Xander Effect.
Been floating around like the king of the sky. I put all the shit to the back of my mind. Just like a dose of perspective to silence the noise. You're turning me up like I'm one of the boys. No, I can't stop, cause it feels so good. No, I can't stop, like I know I should. Going non-stop, till I'm understood. You got me so hooked. I'm high. Like I know I should, going non-stop till I'm understood. You got me so hooked. Cause baby, I'm high on your love. I'm high on your love. I'm high on your love. I'm high. Like I know I should, going non-stop till I'm understood. You got me so. Cause baby, I'm high on your love. I'm so high on your love, love the feeling. I'm high on your love. I get high on your love, then repeat. I'm high on your love. I'm so high on your love, love the feeling. I'm high.
So on the Xander Effect, I have Psychic Medium Anthony DiJoseph. Anthony, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here, man. I gotta tell you, Psychic Mediums scare the heck out of me because you guys just know too much.
Well, yeah, that's our job. That's our job. But it's all for helping people and for healing purposes, of course.
That's really cool, though. But you had your gift pretty much develop at the age of 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's been there with me ever since I could remember. And by 12, I was really sharing it with adults, teachers, and, just kind of grew into it. And as I grew, the gift grew. And it was just there naturally.
I mean, but at 12 years old, that's got to be a really tough age because you're in the age of puberty even around that time. I mean, was it something that started like, what was the first things that you started seeing? Did it scare you at all when you saw the, whatever you saw?
Well, actually, that's a really good question because a lot of the times I would see my family and I was okay with that. But I did become a little bit frightened when I did see people that were not related to me. And I was like, okay, these are, I understand my grandma, my aunt's passed, I get it. But these people are strangers. Why are they here?
Oh, wow.
So it was a little bit frightening.
Wow, that's crazy. And is it like the movies portray like on The Sixth Sense where the kid sees like these ghosts that are like, that have died violently and you could see, the way they died? Is it something like that? Or is it just like spirits? Is it like, what do they look like?
Well, I would say that the show depicts it a little bit differently than in real life. So sometimes they will, show themselves the way that they have passed. And it depends on whether they've actually crossed over or if they're just kind of in between, stragglers, if you will. Mm-hmm. But it's always different each time you do connect with them. And throughout the day, I mean, there is no real off switch. So they are absolutely wandering with you throughout your day. But I did have a lot of people. So from the young age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, my parents would be like, what is going on? We've got senior citizens knocking on the door to ask to speak to my kids. Like, there's something going on here. So, I mean, it's definitely a little bit spooky, and I can imagine, for my parents, yeah.
Did you ever get any, like, spirits that were very violent that were practically demanding your attention, or maybe, I don't know, maybe some, like, any evil spirits at all?
I don't really connect with evil spirits. They don't really, you kind of have to be on a lower vibration. So I would say the answer, most likely no. I mean, I've had an encounter with lower vibrations, but nothing super negative.
Wow, that is so crazy. So at the age of 12, you had this experience. You started seeing these spirits. You started seeing everything. But it wasn't until the age of 17 where you actually decided to use the gifts that you were given to help other people. What happened at the age of 17? Because you survived a near-death experience. How was that like for you?
Oh, wow. It's even talking about it, my stomach drops. It's an experience that really lasts forever. It never leaves you. So I was 17 years old and I truly did not want to be stuck with this gift. So I did everything I could to really fight it. And I would, use it selectively for people to help them. But by 17, I had this experience where I died. And then I knew for sure, leaving my physical body behind and understanding who I really was and what I was doing in this particular body, I understood that my life's purpose was to relay messages from the living, for the living, this way that they can communicate with people who have crossed over. It was absolutely crazy.
Wow, that's insane. And it was it something like, because what you're describing almost reminds me of, and I hate to use another movie reference, but it almost reminds me of like the X-Men, the mutants and everything, that they don't really develop their mutated powers unless they have either a near-death experience or a very violent event that actually activates their mutant abilities. So it's almost like similar to that. You already had your abilities, but the purpose for your abilities is what actually made you just say, this is what I was meant to be doing.
Right. And it's true. You do have an experience that, some people will say is a wake-up call. It's in your family, it's in your genetics, it's in your blood, but you try to really understand it in this one area where you have this wake-up call, which it is a traumatic event. It is something that absolutely helps you understand the other realms. The minute you have that event, you begin to understand what is free will, what is fate, who is God? Where is the universal consciousness, and how to really get it under control? So it's imperative that we do have these types of events in our lives in order to evolve as spiritual beings in a human vessel.
Interesting. And you talk about bloodlines and everything. Is this something that is common in your family to have these types of gifts? Does any other member of your family have these types of gifts, or past or present?
Well, both my grandmothers, who are passed away, they were always very sensitive. They always would have, they had quite a bit, but they never were, stuck talking to living people, about those who've crossed over, or stuck doing what they call readings or anything like that. But they were able to kind of keep it at bay. They worked normal jobs. They were able to be, normal in a sense, but they had the gift very, very strong. They would see people who've crossed over, and luckily it didn't run their life in a sense, So when you do this work, you're kind of married to God, the universe, and everybody. You're there to help and serve everybody in this walk of life. It's incredible.
Wow, that's awesome. And I mean, when you talk to people, when you help them out, I mean, because of many psychic mediums, they cannot predict death, but they can predict dangers. Is that also the case with you?
So a lot of the times, there's a few different ways that people would respond to that. The most common thing is, there are psychic senses where somebody is tapping into a person's energy, but then a medium is connecting with an external source, which would be the spirit of a departed loved one, per se.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody who's crossed over could give you access to the information, and they could forewarn you, or give you information to let you know, hey, listen, this person's at end of life stages, okay, or this person is doing the wrong thing and may potentially have a crazy experience. So yes, there are two different layers, if you will, to the gift. Mediumistically, you're communicating with those who've crossed over. Psychically, you're interpreting energy, and you interpret that energy and you basically transcribe it into information so that the sitter or the person can actually understand what will happen in their future. But I do say that sharing information about the future is best for casework. It's best mostly when you are looking to retrieve missing information. I don't think that talking past, present, future is always the best for my clients. So I do keep that mostly for casework.
Interesting. And do you need to, is this something that you need to like sit down and concentrate on, or is it something that just pops in, like, you pretty much could turn it off and on, you don't have to concentrate, you don't have to be in a certain room with candles or anything like that?
Well, actually, that's actually a great question. So yes, it's kind of like a leaky faucet. So you have the leaky faucet going all day, drip, 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 drip. And then the moment you sit down with a client and you've done your preparation, it's like the faucet is opened up, that valve opens up, and I actually, before meeting any client, I fast for an increment of 8 to 18 hours, which scientifically proven, it speeds up the process of neuroplasticity.
Wow.
That's when I am using my gift at full force, if you will. So I do prepare, absolutely.
8 to 18 hours. Wow. That is a long time to not be eating or drinking anything.
Yeah, 8 to 18 hours, water. I only do one reading a day. I don't do like back-to-back readings or anything like that. It does take a lot of energy, so you have to be very, conscious on how you do work with your gift. But if you have spirit moving through you and you ate something, it's going to slow you down, because earth food is of this earth. So it does weigh the body down. So the key is to lighten your vibration so that you can interpret clearly, effortlessly, and not have any kind of nausea throughout the process.
Wow, that's interesting. This is very fascinating. I didn't even know all this process. Well, I mean, let's go a little bit forward with what you're doing, or what you've done. You've worked with police, you've worked with police as a forensic consultant. And I mean, how did this all begin? I mean, how did you get involved with authorities about solving cold cases?
It's actually interesting. I had no idea that I would end up doing something like this. And what actually ended up happening was I was doing, plenty of audience readings, group readings, etc. And at the very end of a session, you'd have somebody approach you, with a business card. Hey, my name is so and so. I enjoyed your session. We'd like to speak with you. And that's pretty much how it happens. It's almost like the universe brings it to you. And then there's word of mouth, and they may attend a group session and watch, and they may have people there in the group session. So you may have multiple detectives or people working on cases there to watch. They may bring family members to see if they get a reading, how accurate it was. And then depending on performance, they may actually ask for you to assist on a case. And the term forensic consultant, forensic investigator is what they will use if they're walking on a scene with you, or they bring you into an office. They don't technically disclose that you are a hypersensitive medium, or the word psychic, whatever you'd like to call it.
Yeah, because scientifically, there's a lot of skeptics in the science community, arguing the fact that, psychic mediums aren't real, or they're not scientifically proven or anything. Although there are many times where, pardon?
A good amount of us are proven. A good amount of us are able to prove. The new DSM-6 explains a hypersensitive with proven extrasensory perception. So science is our best ally, and absolutely it must be taken with the utmost respect and researched 100%. But the science community, and a lot of times police, they want to really get into the case, and they don't want people to kind of turn their heads and go, wait a minute, what is this guy doing? They're bringing in a psychic, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it's a sore subject for a lot of people.
Interesting. And I gotta ask, what like, in all the stuff that you've done, in all the forensic work that you have consulted on, which one was your most difficult task? Which one had the most obstacles that it was very difficult for you to crack a case? Or have you encountered anything like that yet?
Oh, yeah. I would say yes. There is one in particular. I was younger, and it was a case in regards to a man who simply disappeared. But his car, when I tell you, his car was at this train station. We knew that the wife had a connection to this person's disappearance, and simply not being able to get the correct evidence to really prove that the wife played a role was probably the most difficult, and to ever find out what truly transpired. I always wondered, why do some cases just go cold or run dormant? And simply, I understood sometimes people do not wish to be found. I do see that some people do wish to be found, some people don't. And then you do see roadblocks that come up, and it's very hard, even for investigators, for anyone involved. But it's one case in particular. There was a woman who was a code silver. She was a veteran. She simply went off on foot, and she was, they followed surveillance. She had gotten out of her vehicle, left her pocketbook, and everything in her vehicle, including her cell phone. Mm-hmm. They followed surveillance of her walking down a busy street, and simply lost track of where she had went. And the most difficult part was that it took a year of investigating this woman's story, until one day I was going about my work, and she just flat out said, like, there's a guy who's going to call and report where I am at this location, and it's going to happen today. I'll be on a red carpet, and they'll identify me by my library card. And then hearing a phone call from an investigator that she was found at this location, I just didn't understand why it had to take one full year. So those cases really are difficult.
Wow. I mean, and I mean, because I used to be a fan of the old television show Cold Case, and there was like cold cases from like decades that were decades old. I mean, have you been asked to do any of those types of cases that are like decades old, that where the people are already pretty much old, but they're still investigating them?
I would say mostly the cases I see are relatively recent. Sometimes they're within a 5 to 10 year bracket, or it's a homicide case. There's homicide, domestic violence, and there's homicide, which is a little bit more, it's different. But typically these cases that are within 5 to 10 year brackets, those are the cases that I'll see. Older cases I don't really see too often. And I think simply because sometimes they're so old that the legal system is inundated with different situations. So I guess whoever they really feel they could definitely get justice for, they work on those the most. But there are some that run cold, that are new cases. There are some that run cold, but there are no secrets. And when it comes to secrets, the other side does tell all. And somehow, some way, those secrets will soon come out.
Well, yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what do they got to lose at this point, right? Like they're already gone,
That's right. They're already gone, but sooner or later, somehow, some way, the information comes out, and investigators go, "Holy smokes! This is unbelievable. How did we miss this?" So it's all divine timing. It's guided. I truly believe that.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, we talked about how you go ahead and you help police. When you help other people, I mean, you've talked about the obstacle, like a difficult case, dealing with forensics. What about when you deal with just regular person, with a regular client? Has there been any obstacles trying to get maybe a client closure, or is there a spirit that approaches you and says, "Hey, you need to tell this person, my family member, this, because they need to know this"? I mean, have you ever had any of those types of experiences?
Well, yeah, we have a lot of regular civilians, regular clients. Sometimes, there's always unfinished business and, in everybody's life. So I feel that that's pretty general. But yes, there's several different things that you face where sometimes there's an issue with an estate or finances, or who did what, or did they carefully respect this person's wishes. And, my job is to relay what it is that I'm hearing and seeing, and I can't alter it or change the info, but it's always positive and it's always there for healing. But you never truly know what the person is coming for. It's not until you sit down and you are, really relaying information or translating. And that's when magic happens. The miracles happen right there. And it feels magical to be able to help these people.
It's amazing. And what about, like, again, going back to, like, what about spirits? Do they come, like, sometimes randomly and say, "Hey, you need to go and tell my family member this," and you just show up at that person's doorstep? They don't know who you are or what you're about. Have you ever had anything like that happen?
Yeah, part of me was just thinking, like, it's the skeptical part of me. Did somebody share that with you? I've only had that once in my whole entire life. And it was a young male who passed away very tragically. And I did not know these people from Adam. And I was driving through this neighborhood one day, and he said, like, "I am not leaving until you talk to my dad. And we are friends till this day." And it was just an incredible experience. And it was a careful reminder that you are not in control. You must relay this information for people to heal. And, spirit will continue to push to get the message out there. And it was ultimately a message to this young male's father, to let the father know that he was okay, he was safe, and not to be angry about what took place. So sometimes they will push and push until you give in.
Wow. And what about the father? I mean, what did he think when you first approached him? Was he like, "Who the hell are you? Like, what are you doing here?" type of thing?
He was actually pretty good. He was actually pretty good about it. he did say, I don't believe in this stuff. That was the first thing out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And he did say, I heard about you. I heard that there was a neighbor who had a session by you, and I heard great things, but I don't believe this stuff. And I said, it's okay. And, if you want, I won't say it to you. I'll write it down on paper. And I don't normally do this. I don't just stop people. I respect everyone's privacy. I mean, is it okay? And he's like, go ahead, whatever it is you want to share with me, go ahead. And after sharing with him, we became, actually really good friends. He calls me Casper. Big shout out to Billy, if you're out there and listening, big shout out to Billy. So he calls me Casper, and we've been friends ever since. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. It's amazing the bonds that you create through your gifts. That's actually something that's very valuable in this.
And you know what I liked about him? I'll tell you what I did like about him was that he actually called people up on the telephone and said, read for this person, I want to watch. Like, he really took the time to learn about what this gift is like. He was stunned by it, but I really like that he carefully assessed, how does this happen? So he's a really unique character. So
that's incredible. Well, I mean, and you have worked with people around the world. I'm assuming you've also traveled, to many places all over the world.
I've worked with, people from all over the world. Even an area like Denmark. I mean, that's a place I'd love to visit. But I do feel like you learn so much. You learn many languages. You learn so much about people. But the one thing you learn is that we are all here in this physical world together, and we're all here to help each other. And the illusion of competition, it's an illusion. There is no competition. So I've learned that no matter where you are in this world, we are all here together. And it's a major blessing to be able to help people, especially, all around the world. Yeah.
That's incredible. And speaking of all around the world, obviously the entire world is composed of many people from many different cultures, many different languages. When the spirits come to you, do they speak a different language, or is it, is it, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't speak that. I don't speak Spanish, Italian, French, whatever. Do they come up to you like that sometimes, or is it that when they die, do they finally have an automatic translator when they pass on?
They do speak their language, and the coolest thing about this translation is you're actually able to see what it is that they're saying. So even though you may hear them speaking Chinese, German, French, or another crazy language, you may not understand those words, but visually you understand the message. So there is a translation.
Like subtitles, like spiritual subtitles.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's incredible. That's so crazy. That's incredible. So I'm sorry, I'm tripping out right now. That's awesome. So, out of curiosity, with right now, with the current pandemic that's going on, that's affected so many people, how has that energy been affecting your abilities?
Well, that's a great question. It has been, for somebody who is, a hypersensitive, it's been hard. I've been doing my best to send out positive energy, but it's really a matter of learning how to adapt, learning how to really take that time to close down that gift and how to really help people through this. And really, yes, there are people in distress, but the biggest thing I see with this pandemic are people who are, they have recollections or recall. Sometimes they were, in a medically induced coma, and they began to explain some of the things they see, and they talk about what they saw. And that's one of the biggest things I am dealing with, is helping people understand what they saw when they were unconscious, and that it's okay. You weren't hallucinating. Some of the stuff may sound crazy. Some of the stuff is real 100%. So that's the biggest thing I am dealing with, is counseling people into understanding that, yes, you may have been unconscious, but what you saw when you left the physical body, yes, it was probably real, especially if they make reference to certain things. There are certain details that just cannot be, fudged in any way.
Wow,
So that's what I'm seeing a lot of.
And what about the spirits that are dying? I mean, because there's a lot. There's a lot of people, a lot of souls that are leaving this earth. How are they? Are they coming? Are they trying to speak to you? Are they trying to say, "Hey, it wasn't my time. You need to tell them this"? I mean, have any of them contacted you so far?
Yes, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have passed from the pandemic, and I kind of believe that it's important to share this. That most of these people, we believe that they were alone, but there are these incredible beings. Some people call them angels. Some people call them saints. There are earth angels. There are, incredible doctors and nurses that are with these people. And it's very difficult and sometimes hard not to get emotional when you do share a story like this with somebody. So I see a lot of it. And I think it's ultimately incredible because the spirit of this person that is passed during this crazy, crazy time, they're able to really actually give the family peace by letting them know that they are safe, they have crossed over, and sometimes they are in distress for a little while. I mean, and there is levels prior to crossing over. Sometimes they may say, I wasn't ready yet, but for the most part, nobody is alone, and they're surrounded by this incredible energy of light and love. So they typically aren't, very, very difficult. I feel that it's really difficult for the families. It's a lot of emotions.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's important for you to go ahead and relay this message, because it's right now, and in the times that we're in right now, so many people are scared, so many people are saddened by the loss of their family members. I mean, it's insane. Out of curiosity, since you speak to a lot of these spirits and they give you kind of like the inside scoop of things that are going to happen, have any of them even said if there's gonna be a cure for this, if there's gonna be an end in sight for this?
Right, and I will say that's probably the best thing that I continue to ask. They do, they do, and what I do understand is that this whole entire thing that we do have going on, it's not just going to be overnight, but we will notice a series of changes within our environment, climate, and we will notice that there is a lot of changes, which plays a huge role in how this whole entire thing gets put under control. But really, this is yin and yang. This is a yin and yang balance that eventually this whole earth will kind of recalibrate like a scale. And it will, basically be eradicated by this change in our environment. So yes, it will go away, but it's going to take time.
Wow. Well, Anthony, before we take off here, I got to ask, people are going to want to go ahead and stalk you on social media. How can they stalk you on social media?
You could go to Google, Facebook, or Instagram and check me out. Anthony DiJoseph, Psychic Medium or Hypersensitive Medium, and feel free to reach out at any time, and we'll do the best we can to get them in.
Awesome. Well, Anthony DiJoseph, thank you so much for being on the Xander Effect. Man, I'd love to have you on the show again. Hopefully I could have you on the show again very soon, because I'm sure that there's more to tell in your adventures.
Absolutely. We go on again. We open up the lines. We take telephone calls, random callers, and we give them free messages from the other side. That would be very nice.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Anthony, for being on the Xander Effect, and we'll talk to you soon.
Very well. You too.
You too. Thank you so much, Anthony DiJoseph, for being on the Xander Effect. Hopefully we'll have you back on the show very soon. In sports, Jon Jones and the the big money fight that he wanted to have against Francis Ngannou is not going to happen. Jon Jones went basically on Thursday, and he tweeted, currently in negotiation with at UFC as we speak. But then about an hour later, after he went ahead and announced that, he went ahead and said, before even discussing numbers, the UFC was unwilling to pay more for the Francis super fight for me to move to heavyweight. Said I could possibly earn more in pay-per-view buys. So apparently that's what was going on. He went on to continue like a bunch of tweets. Actually, he went on a bunch of tweets and continued to say, "It's been fun, guys. Maybe I'll see you all in a year or two." Another tweet he also said was, "Maybe when they're ready to do better business, I'll come back. Until then, health, fitness, and family." Another tweet, he went on to say, "I should have worded that differently. I actually think these guys do great business. Right now, things just aren't where I want them to be." So basically, it's not going to happen. And the other person that was disappointed in this was Francis himself. He went on it to tweet, "In my opinion, the at UFC aren't willing to make this Jon fight happens, or at least for what it's worth." So right now, it's all about the money. It's all about the Benjamins, and it seems that it's just doesn't seem like it's happening. But apparently to close out his tweeting rant, Jon Jones went ahead and said, "I've had some time to think about it, and I'm a lot less emotional. Just sad that the UFC doesn't see my value against the scariest HW in the world. Jan, I guess you're next in line. Hashtag bad business, hashtag shock." So essentially the tweeting rant went up and down, up and down, up and down, until finally Jon Jones did end up criticizing the UFC in not having a good business sense in making this fight happen. So we'll see if Dana White and the UFC have something to say about that. Maybe they'll reconsider. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But as it stands, the Jon Jones Ngannou fight is not going to happen. So c'est la vie. In other sport news, this is other MMA news. Looks like Stipe Miocic is a little bit upset at Daniel Cormier and other critics for calling him, pretty much asking him to relinquish the belt or fight. And as it stands, it seems that Miocic cannot really do either, because it's not really his fault that he can't train. In the state that he lives in, which is Ohio, they have a stay-at-home order where they have closed all gyms, they have closed everything up, so he can't put a training team together. And it's really pissing him off, because he's basically saying he went on MMA Fighting and said, quote, "I don't know what people want from me, really. Everyone's like, he's holding the division, and I'm like, how am I holding up the division? Other guys are saying we can train. Well, good for you. You live in a different state. You have different regulations. My coach, no joke, shut his gym down. He wasn't taking any dudes. No one's paying anything because it's not fair to everyone. They had a bunch of stuff outside the gym, and a couple people, like 5 or 6 people, were working out together. They were even 6 feet apart, and someone saw that and reported it, and he got cited by the CDC. That's how strict they are. So everyone can just shut up because they're idiots." Again, he's really upset about this whole thing, basically calling Cormier a crybaby, and telling everybody else to stop crying about it because it's out of his hands. And with good measure, it is out of his hands. The guy can't really force anything. However, he could have done what a lot of other fighters have done, which is basically, for training purposes, leave his home state, go to a place where they have reopened gyms, where they're allowed to go ahead and do this and start training. But that's just in my humble opinion. I don't know what his situation is, but that's what a lot of other fighters have done. But who knows? Maybe his situation is different. Who knows? In other sports news, looks like Ric Flair has re-signed with the WWE. There was a lot of speculation because Ric Flair's contract was up. Then he might have gone to Tony Khan's AEW, but Ric Flair is true and true WWE until he dies, apparently. He went ahead and said in an interview, he said, "I re-signed last week. I've never gone without getting paid, and there's never been a doubt in my mind." You're the first person I've talked to about it except for family. I just think the coronavirus slowed down the actual official signing. Everybody went to work on figuring out on their end what to do, as it's a lot to deal with, especially in wrestling, as it's not a seasonal sport and is year-round. Just figuring your way around that has been an act of genius in itself. And basically, he went ahead and said that, but he also said that he does have a close friendship with AEW owner Tony Khan, and he basically said that, well, it's not for life, but I hope they keep renewing me. You never know, but I'm obviously not going to go anywhere else if they didn't renew me. Tony Khan told me that he wouldn't even ask me to come to work there because he knows how tight I am with WWE. Our friendship is one thing, but he respects my loyalty to the company. That's how much respect Khan has for me and my relationship with the company, which speaks volumes to what kind of guy Tony is. The same would apply to my daughter and WWE. Now, seeing as his daughter is tight with WWE, Charlotte Flair is tight with WWE, in a sense, it almost seems that, I don't know, it just seems to me, and again, this is just my own speculation, that it would seem that Ric Flair would be a little hesitant to go anywhere else other than WWE for the simple fact that his daughter is currently a big deal in the WWE, and that might change if he went to a competitive brand. I mean, that could easily happen. Stranger things have happened. I mean, everybody knows Vince McMahon has, he has a way about business that basically if you leave me, it's almost like you're stabbing him in the back type of thing. And, although a lot of wrestlers tend to have come back to WWE, it still hurts Vince McMahon emotionally that they would do this to him. So that could be another reason why Ric Flair, off the record, he might be thinking. So who knows? Who knows what that's about? Coming up next in video game news, Call of Duty Modern Warfare has already speculations as to Season 4 update might receive a very familiar face in Captain Price. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is Marquiese McClendon's 5th Street right here on the Xander.
This is Ian Guerin, and you're listening to the Xander Effect.
My mind goes insane. I don't know what you do with your free time, but I think about you. I don't know what you do with your free time, but I think about you. Yeah. When you're playing blackjack, when you're out with your girls, when you're taking a nap, I think about you. I know this love thing can be a scary thing, especially when the heart's been broken so many times before. Cause the last time you were asked to trust, all you got was pain, deceit, and all that bad stuff. I need you to trust me, so that one day, we two can say, we found that love that we always saw another. I don't know what you do with your free time, but I think about you. I don't know what you do with your free time, but I think about you. When you're playing blackjack, when you're out with your girls, when you're taking a nap, I think about you. Still think about the past, haven't put it behind. Still think about the past, haven't put it behind. So I'ma take this chance on my kitchen tonight. Still think about when you're playing blackjack, when you're out with your girls, when you're taking a nap, I think about you. Every night when sun goes down, I stay up late to do my work. But with each break that I take, you come back into my head. I can no longer take it. It's too hard, it's too crazy. But who do I fool? I said, who do I fool? I'm known for sure. I still love you. I don't know what you do with your free time, but I think about you. I don't know what you do with your free time, but I think about you, baby. You, baby. You, baby. You,
That was Ian Guerin's Free Time right here on the Xander Effect. In video game news, looks like Captain Price might be an operator on multiplayer mode in Season 4 for Call of Duty Modern Warfare. This coming from speculation because of a tweet that actually went out today from @CharlieIntel, which he basically said, this is Call of Duty news, he calls his Twitter page. It says, breaking, new Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Warzone Season 4 teasers sent via a marketing email leads users to a website that plays this new video. And basically, the new video is a conversation. It's kind of a interesting conversation from a command outside Verdansk. This is all, of course, this isn't a real conversation. It's all make believe, obviously. And it's from a command outside the Verdansk map, Verdansk, which is a request on an IP call with a priority target suspected to be Target Denver. Now, the call goes back and forth, but at the end of it all, it basically makes people assume that Captain Price will be joining the operator and possibly a brand new map for Season 4 of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So that's actually a really interesting thing because honestly, Captain Price is a badass in the story mode, and I'd love to go ahead and purchase him as an operator because the dude is freaking awesome. And I'm hoping that maybe along with him being an operator, his weapons are also added on to the new season of Modern Warfare. So we'll just have to see, wait and see and find out when Season 4 comes out. In other video game news, Destiny 2 is nerfing the Outlaw, Rapid Hit, and other weapon reload perks. According to the game developers Bungie, they basically announced in a blog post that they're going to be nerfing all these things in Season 11. They said, quote, "We've observed that players lean towards picking perks that increase their damage, e.g. kill clip, or reduce weapon downtime, e.g. outlaws. The damage perks were adjusted quite a while back, but reload perks still don't feel like choices. This tuning pass aims to keep them feeling powerful without being so dominant. That no other choices seem viable. That's a really cool thing that Bungie is doing for their players, because it takes away from a lot of other players that tend to cheat the system, and it makes things a little bit more fair and a bit more competitive. So definitely a good thing that Bungie is doing that for their players, and looking forward to that as well. That's the news. In case you haven't heard it, thank you so much for listening to the Xander Effect. Remember, we are still in crisis mode. Things are starting to reopen little by little, but remember, we are all still in this together. When you go out to essential places to do essential shopping, make sure you wear your gloves, your mask, your goggles if you got them, and remember to keep yourself safe for yourself and for loved ones. And remember to catch me next Wednesday on the brand new World of Dance Wednesdays podcast. It's going to be an awesome event, so make sure you check it out, and make sure you check out World of Dance this Tuesday as well, because it's going to be an amazing season. And remember, music always heals all. We'll see you next time.
Y'all. I be tell I told. Yeah, you did. They ain't believe it though. One life. Do Brown. Same game, be telling. What up? Woo! So we kick it like it's kickball. Power couple. She dripping in that Dolce Gabbana. They wanna touch her. Everybody know that's do girl. What you gonna do by it? Me and her take on the world. Now that's the truth.
Hey everyone, the Xander Effect is powered by 50/50 Global Music Inc., Sony Music, The Orchard, and BMG Bertelsmann Group, in association with Art 19 Media.
Cause I made the right moves, got in the she be in my lap,